Yeah, so prosecutors have two things that they've got to do in a case of this nature. One, they have to put them there at the scene, and they have to put them there as being actors. Also, actors as in the people that perpetrated the crime. Crimes like this can be very difficult in terms of proving what the intent was, what the motive was. It was an unintended victim. There's going to be legal issues as to whether or not prosecutors can reach that top crime of intentionality. Of course, as a prosecutor, when you're investigating the case, you'll have to wait to see as this case develops, whether there's arguments of self-defense, which it does not appear is going to be the situation in this particular case, but the more of an argument as to what the lesser included offenses are that they have to worry about, where defense attorneys may argue this wasn't done intentionally, but rather was a reckless act, and that they didn't intend or have the purpose to actually kill the individual who was killed in this particular case, and see if they can make some sort of legal argument for a lesser offense. No matter what words you want to use to say that same thing means that you don't have to necessarily approve of the action that ultimately occurred, but if you are a participant in it, but it's going to get down to an area of reasonableness, and that's usually each state jury charge is going to be a little bit different. That is what the instructions will be given to the jury at the end of the day. But, you know, defense lawyers are likely going to argue there that them being together doesn't show that they had a shared intent for this particular situation. In fact, the prosecutor's argument in the case is that they intended to actually shoot and kill somebody else. But, you know, Michael, I don't want to get too bogged down into these things. I've seen literal cases where people have pointed a gun at somebody, fired a shot, and the person survives, and still a jury has a hard time grappling with whether or not there was an intention to actually kill the person. So you never know what a jury is going to do with a case like this, especially when there's an unintended victim, or unintentional, I should say, victim. Prosecutors are looking for that first-degree intentional homicide, which requires the intent to kill that person or another, and the argument is going to be, and that it was practicably certain that the death would occur. Now, if there's an argument here that this is more reckless conduct, because that's another charge in this indictment, the defense is going to be arguing potentially that if you prove that it's my client that fired the rounds, my client may have been doing it recklessly, but wasn't doing it with the intent to kill that particular person, and make a distinction, a legal distinction, pound that table on the law, that this isn't a first-degree intentional murder case, but rather a reckless act that led to the death of another person. That, to me, is where the defense is going to go with this case.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, because the victim was walking along with the intended victim, so that's pretty foreseeable at that point. All right, stand by, Bob.